Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Tony from Mercer University. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, excited to talk to you. I got to flex it because you said I got it right, but Coach Economopoulos, there it is, Economopoulos.
Perfect.
All
You
right,
got
all
it.
right. I'm getting better with my Greek, right?
You are.
But happy to have you. We're talking here end of August. You guys have come out just firing on all cylinders to start the season. So congrats to that.
Thank
Um,
you.
and you know, it's since you're 4 games in, you got stuff coming up. So my question, and I always like to ask coaches is, how much of your time over the next, say, we'll call it 10, 12 weeks, because that's roughly what you got left. How much of that time during the season is going to be used on recruiting, whether that's class of 25s or 26s at this point?
Uh, a lot. I mean, we had a meeting on Monday with my two assistants about the recruiting where we're at. We feel we're a little behind still right now. So we're every day talking about it. There's a kid that whatever happened with her and her Power Four school, she became available. She reached out to us. We have an ID camp on Monday. We're sold out. We're trying to see if we can squeeze her in possibly, but we're constantly recruiting. We're constantly texting kids, emailing kids. They're doing it with us. We looked at the schedule on Monday of what ECNL, what ECRL games, what GA games we can make in the next month to 6 weeks to still see things. So we're trying to balance out the season and the success we'll have, hopefully, Matt, along with recruiting, which never ends until December 15th through the January 5 window. But we're always talking about it, watching video, replying to emails, and just trying to stay ahead and keep up with everybody else.
So what would you say is your rough timeline for when you're gonna say, hey, we're probably done with the 25s?
I would venture to say possibly around the holiday time, the Christmas, New Year time, with this whole roster cap with the Power Fours are talking about that's going to happen next fall. But we're also not holding our breath. We're not going to wait and see what does Georgia do, what does Alabama do. If we've had historical success of having kids for 4 years and developing them over time. So right now we're at 4 kids in our 25 class. We're trying to add 2 more kids. We're actively recruiting kids. If in the next 2 months something happens where a kid that's a 25 commitment does gets dropped by the Power Four that we knew of, that might change something. But we're not going to chase these random kids that, hey, coach, you're 10-2. We're interested in your school. I got dropped by this ACC school and I haven't seen her. I don't have the time or resources or financial capability to go watch this kid last minute. So we're going to stick true to our kids we know and recruit that. And if we get lucky and happen to find a kid that happens to be there, it might be a situation where we're trying to figure out a financial package that might work for them. But I'm not going to stop recruiting the 25 class. So I hope by December, January, we're done with our 25s and we're hopefully in the middle to early stages of our 26s still.
Okay. Well, you mentioned obviously there's still all this up in the air with the NCAA
Mhm.
and roster caps and things of that nature. You you're not Power Four, so that 28 cap may or may not apply to you based on how things continue
Right.
and school and conference decisions. Um, but what is your like? Is there a roster size that you like to be at, or will that change at all? Or what do you what? Give me some ideas around your roster size.
Yeah, so I've never had a roster bigger than 28 in my 13 years here at Mercer. I think it's a lot to manage. I think it's hard to keep kids happy. I think here at Mercer we've done a pretty good job over the course of the last 12 years of trying to give kids minutes when we can early in non-conference season. I can't fathom having 4 or 5 more kids trying to find minutes for. I know the rumor of smaller schools in our conference, like the SoCon and some other schools, is being private. It'll be hard to limit roster sizes for sports like football and lacrosse, is baseballs that bring some money into the school from kids who are walking on, let's say, are low money kids. So I don't think it's going to impact me. I'll have the ability to get more than 28 kids. I've never had that many, so it'll be a challenge for me. Um, my best years were my first two when I had 18 and 21 kids, and everybody got to travel, everyone got to play. Um, now we're sitting at 25 kids, but 2 kids are hurt, so it's a little bit easier with rotations. But you know, I'll take up to 28, Matthew, unless again something happens where somebody's like, hey, this kid can really be an impact player, and they fell through the cracks with this Power Four and so forth. But if not, I'll look to keep it around the 26 to 28 range.
Okay. Well, you mentioned you got an ID camp coming up. How important are those ID camps in your overall recruiting process? And do you or your staff work other ones as well, or just your own, or what's that look like?
For a school like Mercer and other mid majors, again, we don't have the Power Four financial resources to go to every event and try to watch kids in trainings on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night and watch them play 5, 6 times in all the events. So for us, it's important because it gets you here in front of us, in front of our staff. Um, it gets you in our campus too, so you kind of see our facilities. And some kids have never seen Mercer or Macon, and it gives them a chance to see it. Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful campus, or this is a horrendous campus. It's too small or too big, whatever it might be. But for us, we get to train you for a few hours. We get to see you play in big sided games. Depending on which camp it is, we have some of our girls that jump in and our counselors and help, and we can kind of gauge the level a little bit on where you're at with our current roster. So I think it's really resourceful for us, also for kids, who might have an interest in us. And yes, we do work other camps as well. It's hard in the fall time sometimes when we're in season. We found this niche now of Labor Day being a good day for us to do this. It's our second year doing it, and we've sold out. We grew from last year, but we'll do one again in January. Our staff will go to Alabama's or go to Georgia's in the course of the year. So we try to reciprocate amongst the coaches. We go there, they'll come here. So I think it's very important. I mean, I think these carry a little bit more value than some bigger ones. And I won't name any, that bring in 30 coaches in and they have 300 kids. That's hard for us to identify. Our camp will range between 50 and 75, 80, and we'll bring more staff if we need to get to the 80 kids. But we try to keep it more intimate so we can really watch them. So at this camp here, we'll have around 64 kids. All three of us will be here. We're bringing two D2 coaches and a D3 coach in, but only one of my coaches will be doing a session. The other two, me and my sales assistant, will be watching to kind of take notes on kids and so forth. And then in games, we'll be able to manage with the other 2, 3 coaches and see the kids in live action as well.
Okay. Well, whether it's at a camp or an event or when you're looking at players, what is it that kind of draws you to them? What is it that makes you want to offer a player a spot at Mercer, whether both on the field stuff or off the field stuff?
That's $1 million question there, Mike. It's a lot of things. Obviously, first look, you see somebody, right? Is their size and speed? Everybody looks at that. But for a school like Mercer, I think we know the kid that's 5'11", 6 foot that runs like Usain Bolt, we're probably not going to get no matter how bad her touch is. So for us, it's finding that kid in between that has some pieces. First and foremost is going to be work ethic. I'm really big with our team here. I always ask them and tell them, you're going to make mistakes in life. You're going to make mistakes in practice and games. It's how do you react? So when we're watching kids at their competitive games, when they make a mistake, what's the reaction? Are they complaining to the official? Are they just saying, I'm going to work my tail back to recover, win the ball back, delay him, tackle, or am I going to complain? That's a big thing for me because we don't have the depth and the talent pool, let's say, that the Florida States might have or Power Four. So I need kids who are going to work during practice and during games. So that's one piece. Two is, do they have something special about them athletically? Do they, maybe she's a little bit smaller, but she's more athletic, quicker. Maybe she's taller, but she's really good in the air, but a little small, but a little slower. They got to have 2 or 3 pieces of the puzzle we want, technically or tactically or leadership qualities. Every kid's different. So we try to find what we need for that particular class, and making sure the work ethic is high, their values as far as being a human being are good. To me, the team chemistry and culture are massive, and to bring a negative person that can be a cancerous cell in your team, can disrupt your team, isn't something we want to do, no matter how good she is. It's not worth the headaches from managing a team of 28 young ladies. So those are important pieces for us. I'd love to get the full polished kid, the 5'10" athlete that has right and left foot and technical prowess. But again, we don't typically get that kid because they're going to the larger schools. But if you have a drive and a willingness to improve, I think there's a chance for you at some point at some school.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Mercer. Like I said, I had the chance to drive through Macon, but unfortunately didn't get to stop in and see the school. You've been there a number of years now. What is it that you really enjoy about Mercer? What are some of the special things about it? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate. I was on the men's side my first 8 years of college coaching, and last, my goodness, how can it's 16 years, 18 years. I've been on the women's side now, and I've been at Power Five, Power Four. I've been at mid major. I've been a smaller. I've been D2. I played NEI. I've seen a vast array. And when coaching female student athletes, I think the academic piece is very important. Um, and I look at in just in general terms, like you look at the ACC, it's probably the best conference top to bottom in soccer wise. From how many teams get in the Final Four, Sweet 16, or win the championships, and academics are a big piece in the ACC. SEC is closing the gap some, but that's what I think hinders SEC is the academic piece. So being at Mercer, being an elite school academically, I think it allows us to attract kids who have a higher echelon of academic goals. Two is the support of our administration and from the admin side and athletic side. Our president is massive, massive proponent of sports, pushes for athletics. He understands it's the doormat to any university. The more success you have, helps with enrollment, helps with community engagement, helps with donations. Having the support of an administration academically and athletic department is massive for me. So having the academic regimen we have and the majors we have a medical school on campus, we have a law school, we have engineering school. Not many schools our size can say to have a medical school on campus with a law school. Also having education degree if you want, or if you want communication. So we have a vast array of majors. We're a very diverse school and city, and I think our facilities are great. And we're in the southeast, so I love the weather. We're outside 10 months of the year. The only time we're inside is because it's too wet. It rained a little bit in August or in February, but it's never because of a freeze. We're located here at Mercer, where we're 3.5 hours from any beach, East Coast, Gulf. So for me personally, it's a great location to recruit. And then the biggest thing is the talent pool. And you have in Georgia, you have North Carolina that borders it, and you have Florida. So we're able to pull a lot of kids. And then being private, the cost is the same for kids from Texas, California, or Georgia for us. So we're able to recruit nationally as well because being a private institution, there's no out of state additional costs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in terms of uh, you know, you mentioned the education component and this question pops up every now and again. You mentioned all the medical stuff, but you know, some coaches will tell female soccer players, "Hey, nursing and soccer tough to do together," or other majors. Do you find that to be an issue at Mercer or not so much? How does that all work together?
Yeah, no, it is. It can be tough for nursing majors, especially we're pretty transparent. So we have a master's of nursing program up in Atlanta, and I've had my first 2 years, I think 4 or 5 girls who went through. They got biology in a pre-nursing track or chemistry, and then went to Atlanta, got the master's of nursing, and in a year and a half additional had a master's of science in nursing administration along with a biology undergrad. So now they could do both admin side and hands-on side. It's just difficult. I've been at other schools where it's hard to find the rotations they have to line with being able to practice in big games. There are a few institutions, I think, and in certain parts that they do work well with hospitals and you're able to, but it's very hard to find that. But that's the one major I've realized it's probably the hardest one to do for female student athletes is especially for soccer, because how our season is, it's one season, whereas in basketball, it's 2 seasons. You can spread out your hours a little bit in the fall and spring. For us, it's a little bit more difficult with that. But we try to be as transparent with kids, say, hey, we don't have that. I had a kid who wanted to do marine biology, and we said, we don't have that. But she loved the campus, she loved the program. She ended up going through a biology degree, then went to JU for a master's of marine biology. So if a kid finds the right spot, they might do an undergrad and add on a master's later on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in terms of hours, let's fast forward. Say you're in the heart of that conference season. Walk me through what a typical week's going to look like for players in terms of when is classes, practices, game cadence, meals, all that kind of stuff.
So typically Mondays are off day. Then Tuesday morning we'll train about 7:30, about an hour and a half to about 9. Then girls have class from 9:30 until about 3, 4 o'clock, so they're done for the day. It's on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, then we'll do our right now this year we're doing is Wednesday, 8 o'clock. We do our scout for the team we're playing on Thursday on what they're going to look like. 8:30, they do a activation lift for 30 minutes with our strength coach, kind of activate their bodies, get ready for our session. Then we go out for about an hour from 9 to 10. Then they have class at 11 o'clock until 3 or 4 that day, whatever it might be. Thursday is our game day. If we're at home, we'll get them out of class around 2 o'clock. They'll have an hour to kind of go home, decompress, take a nap. We'll meet at 3 o'clock on that day, do our scouting report on how we're going to play against that school. So the day before we watch how they do things, the day of we'll do what we're going to do. Then we'll do a pregame meal together. They got another hour and a half, but to themselves. Report back at 5:45. We go to the field at 6 o'clock. For a 7 o'clock game. Friday's recovery day. So if we're home, we'll tend to meet at 9 o'clock in the morning. They will do a recovery lift with our strength coach, and then we'll do a recovery session. So kids that didn't play at least 45 minutes on Thursday night will play about a 25-minute mini match. The girls that did will be bumpers and jump in and give us more numbers and play in 2 or 3 minute rotations. And then when the girls are done playing, the ones that play the bulk of the minutes will roll out. The girls that did more bumpers or neutrals will pick up all the gear, move the goal. So I'm real big on, hey, I played, but I have to do work still, just so the kids aren't playing, feel like, oh, I got to pick up the gear now as well. I'm really big on it. We're a team, collective unit, and they're all helping out. So it's important for me, for the kids who don't start, to realize, hey, I get to play now, but I'm not going to pick up all the stuff afterwards. The starters will. Then Saturday, we do a scout again on the opponent, light session, finishing set pieces, play on Sunday, and that's a repeats the cycle, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. Well, in let's talk more, I guess, about the soccer side. You talk about the game canes and whatnot. We talked about your roster size. What about the rest of that roster in terms of staff? Uh, what role does everybody play? Maybe what other support staff are included in that in the athletic department?
Yeah, so we're not fully funded. We don't have 3 assistants and ops person, unfortunately. But we do what we do with what we have, and that's part of being at Mercer. We understand that every department at Mercer is probably understaffed, from our administration to our athletic training to strength staff. So I'm the head coach. I have an assistant coach full time. Then I have a graduate assistant. He or she takes classes along with helping us out. So what happens is, my assistant's pretty much the recruiting coordinator. He or she kind of takes the lead on, here's the kids we've looked at, we're already looking at, finding new kids, what events we're going to go to, initial contact with recruits. My GA, he or she then is kind of in charge, kind of operations part, a little bit of the travel. And they're not calling hotels or bus companies. We're just giving information out, getting information back, and picking what we're going to do, getting meals. Oversees a student manager who helps us with our gear and travel and washing stuff. But all three are kind of soccer minds, so we all work together, collaborate on sessions. Um, and then the GA wants to be more involved, so I'm gonna let him do more recruiting with us when it's a close enough trip to go out and network for himself as well. So the three of us try to do the job of like 5 people at a Power Four with operations and their staff member. We have a student manager. He helps us out tremendously. Like I said, picking up food during preseason for pregame meals, gets the girls' uniforms out, packs their bags for them. We have our AT, which helps us, athletic trainer, which is great because she takes care of the girls getting healthy and recovery. We have a strength coach who's been with us now for 2 years. He's a grad student. And then we have academic support. We have a person that our girls meet with weekly academically to go over their classes. All freshmen meet with him or her once a week. Then if you're below a certain GPA, you meet once a week. Otherwise, it's bi-monthly. And they do a good job of, tracking them, getting them tutors, writing labs, whatever it is. And we have facilities people who help us out. We don't have to paint the field, fortunately, or mow it, which is nice. So, I feel we're in a good spot. Always you want more, no matter where you're at, obviously, but we make do with what we have.
All right. Well, what about you, Coach? Talk to us about your coaching style of play you look to play there.
You know, Coming from the men's side, the women's side, I think it makes me more of a unicorn, I'd say, because I'm not your traditional kumbaya, everything is roses and dandelion. I'm just not that way. I don't give simple praise when it shouldn't be warranted. I tell the girls work ethic and work is part of the gig. I'm never going to say good work when you're supposed to work. I'm not going to say good save when it's a routine collapse knife. You pull one upper 90 out, I'm going to say good save. But again, if I don't want to dish out too many compliments where they can't push themselves. And I tell them all the time, I'm not going to give you the compliment until where we reach our goal. I'm going to keep pushing you. Yes, today was good, but could be better. Sometimes we're ultra critical. In games, my job is to manage the match, the personalities, how we're doing. It's to find deficiencies in the opponent as the game goes on and make tactical adjustments. And that's my favorite part of the game. Of the job is a game day. If I could retire one day and just could be a game day manager and come in and do the X's and O's and move people around and adjustments, I would love it. That would probably never happen, but that's my favorite piece. That and then recruiting is a second piece. But I love that component of it, like the scouting reports and how we talk about it, how we're going to break teams down. And now we've added this little room under our press box where we go in. It's like and we have a dry erase board and we have a TV and we tag on Speedio Live. So when we go inside, we try to watch 2 or 3 clips of things that are going well, what we got to work on, draw on the board, and go back out for a second half and make with our adjustments. But I'm a coach that's very big on possess with a purpose and speed of play. I want to play quick. We're not a direct team. We don't smash it up top and our girls run onto it. Do we try to find our forwards as fast as possible? Yeah, but usually to their feet, you know? And it's predicated on what the defender's doing. If they're playing a high line, of course we're going behind. Everybody's going to do that. Whether you're Barcelona, Man City, or you're Liverpool, you're going to go behind. Um, Again, if not, we're going to play underneath. But I want to play with a purpose where let's not swing the ball left and right 67 times because at some point, I've done this long enough. Men and women in the US and college soccer are going to make a mistake because they're going to become impatient. They're going to have a bad touch, overhit it, underhit it, and then we're going to get countered in our defensive third. So I'm like, 2, 3 passes, break the line, find the mid, find the forward, get numbers forward with speed, and create chances. And we try to tell them the stats map, how many goals were scored in 3 passes or less. It's not. Yeah, Barcelona's different and Man City, but everybody else, it's transition, it's counter, get it, go, find them, and so we do that a lot in training, and it works for us. We have some athletic pieces for our level. I feel really good that we're good on the counter and quick, and just we win it somewhere, we repress, and let's go. And that's my mindset in practice and games. The great thing in practice, we can stop it, talk to them, bring it in, redo it, rewind it. In games now, it's a little more tricky because now you can't, stop it and do whatever you want to do. That's where the video comes in play when they come off or at halftime to show them the adjustments.
All right. Awesome. Well, Coach, really appreciate all the insight you've given us. Want to ask you one last question, and that is for anybody that's going through this college soccer recruiting process and journey, if you had one piece of advice for them or one nugget of information you would want them to know, what would that be?
It's a good one, man. One piece. Um, it's about you and your time. Whenever there shouldn't be pressures. I would try to eliminate exterior pressures, whether it's mom and dad, club coaches, um, friends, other colleges pressuring you to come to their school. It's your process, and you need to take the time when it's right for you. Everyone says it's your journey. That's true. But I always tell kids, some people will put pressure on you to make a decision, but and I always tell kids if they want you bad enough, they'll wait for you an extra week or two if they think highly of you. If not, if they give you a 5% scholarship point, maybe they won't wait for you, maybe they will. But don't feel pressured that Susie has committed, I haven't yet. Don't be pressured that 2/3 of your team have committed, but you haven't yet. Because you'll find the right spot. Because we're still looking at 25s. I mean, we're going into Christmas break in a few months, still looking for 1 or 2 25. So if you're patient and do what's best for you, hopefully you find a place that's right for you.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time and wish you the best of luck as the season rolls on, and hopefully you'll be hanging that SoCon banner.
Matt, I appreciate it and I hope you're right. And if I do, I'll be back on the podcast with you again.
Sounds great. Take care, Coach.
Thank you.